I'm Gen X. That means I know how to call Jenny and Mike Jones.
I want you to think.
Adamant.
Adamant or adamant.
Adamant, adjective, refusing to be persuaded or to change one's mind.
And I am, adamant.
Who's adamant about this?
I'm adamant.
And she was adamant, absolutely adamant about who you are.
He's adamant about it.
Of course I'm adamant. I'm right.
You're listening to the Adamant Podcast, the only podcast where being right and being adamant are the same thing. Now here's your host, Adam Alexander.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Adamant Podcast. My name is Adam Alexander, and I'm your host. Thank you guys so very much for downloading and listening to the Adamant Podcast. I'm not sure if you can do it separately. I really am not. I'm pretty sure you could download it, but not listen to it. Why? Why start and not finish? You downloaded it. Now listening to it. Matter of fact, if you made it this far, you've done both, and I'm very thankful for you guys very, very much. I got a great and fun, get to my outline. Where's the outline? All right, I got a great and fun episode for you guys. I'm going to be talking about some financial awareness. Yes, this week, the Adamant Podcast, it's been a dating podcast. I told you, I'm going to start off with the different type of podcast on every episode. So, it was a dating podcast in the last episode. Then it was a midweek makeup. This episode, it's a financial awareness podcast. Awareness, that's a very important word. I can't wait to explain it to you. Then after that, we're going to talk about some parking lot politics. I'm not happy with them. And then we're at the gym of the week this week. Drum roll. Gratitude. So we got a great episode for you guys to reward your doing what? Downloading and listening to. But also, in addition to downloading and listening to, how many times are you going to say that, Adam? Till I'm comfortable that you're doing it. All right? That's how many times I'm going to say it. And how many times are you going to touch the microphone, Adam? Until I'm comfortable, period. I got this rig or this new setup, and I'm still getting comfortable with it, trying not to touch it. I produce another podcast called the Between the Bells podcast. You guys got to check it out, especially after this week's fights. It's a boxing podcast hosted by two boxing coaches, professional boxing coaches, not just boxing coaches, but professional boxing coaches. And this weekend, some boxing went down that shocked the world all the way around. Hint? Anyway, I'm going to let you tell it to him. But my point is, Coach Mags is Coach Joe and Coach Mags, and I produce it. And Coach Mags is always touching the mic, and I want to yell at her. I want to be like, stop touching the mic. But I understand. At some point, you're just like, is this thing close enough? Blah, 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 blah. But anyway, I will stray from what I'm talking about because my thoughts do that. But what I was getting at was I want you guys to share, rate, and review this podcast. Pretty please, sugar on top. 5 rating. All right? A 1 or a 5. I don't believe in 2s, 3s, or 4s. That's just why. How would you rate this podcast? It's good. 5. How would you rate this podcast? I'm not listening again. 1. All right? I'm not going to say give it a 5 and then inbox me how to earn your 5. Hey, Adam, I gave you a 5, but I really didn't think you deserved it. Blah, 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 blah. I'm just saying, if it falls short of you listening to it again, it gets a 1. But if you're going to listen again, give it a 5 and review it, on whatever you do. Spotify, Apple, YouTube. Comment on YouTube. What's the other one? It's Apple, Spotify, YouTube. There's a whole bunch of podcast aggregates, and this is on all of them. So check it out. And then, tell your friends about the podcast. You want somebody to talk to about this podcast at work, right? That's right. You could play it out loud, but don't play it out loud. Hey, what are you listening to? You seem to really be enjoying it. Oh, it's the Adamant Podcast. Oh, put it on speaker. Put it on the aux. No. Go get your device and you listen to it too. So that way I get 2 listens, 3 listens, 4 listens. Tell your mom, I don't know. I know you got a hot auntie. Tell her too. I'm single. What? I'll be your Uncle Barry. I'll be your Uncle Barry. I'll be your Uncle Alexander. You better do what I say. I am so funny. All right, so let's get to the highlight of the week. I talk to you guys every week, every episode, blah, 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 blah. And I highlight, every week I'm going to talk about highlight of the week. And it's very important because you're going through a grind. If you're listening to this podcast, you are probably a person who's going through a grind, who is, going day to day, just making it, making it happen. And the highlight of the week helps you push through. Because then after you get one highlight of the week, you're going to have a bunch of moments in your week fighting for that highlight of the week spot. And last week, my cousin Jimmy Ray came to town, players only, baby. And he took me and my other cousin to see the Dodgers play the San Diego Padres. And I just said that backwards. I should say he took us to see the Padres play the Dodgers since we saw it in San Diego. However, we saw it in San Diego. And I'm going to tell you guys, this is part of the highlight of the week, but this isn't, I'm getting to it. This was the first time this was my third San Diego versus LA game. Okay, Padre versus Dodger game. It's my third one. I saw it when I moved out here in 2012. The stadium was blue. The stadium was blue. I saw it again in about 2018. Me and Junior went. The stadium was a little bit more brown, but still blue. Bit more brown, but still blue. This was the first time where it was a fair 50-50. All right? 50% Dodger fans, 50% Padre fans. So it wasn't officially a Dodger game like I'm used to. But anyway, we went to the game. It was a great game. I got to see Mookie Betts hit a double. He will always be a Red Sox. Shame on 2018. Or thank you for 2018. What did we trade him in, 2019? Either way, it shouldn't have happened. And then what else happened to that game? I missed freaking Shohei hit a leadoff home run. He's a pitcher to hit a leadoff home run. Second pitcher to ever do it. He was also the first, and I missed it. We didn't get there in time to see that. But I saw him pitch real well. Bases loaded, cleared up the bases. He had the bases loaded, and I think he struck out to Tatis Jr. So it was a fun game to watch. But anyway, afterwards, we're walking out, the three of us. My cousin's dripping in LA Dodger gear, all right? He's a Dodger fan, whatever. I had a dilemma. I don't wear Padre fans, and I'm a closet Dodger fan, all right? Like, I like the Dodgers. I really do. They have all the best baseball players, and that's a knock against them. Mookie Betts is my favorite baseball player. I think he's the best baseball player in the world. I think Shohei Ohtani is overrated. Now, that's me being a stan. That last statement I just made, Shohei Ohtani being overrated, that's me being a Mookie stan. But I'm still going to say it because I kind of believe it. How does a guy get moved from right field to shortstop without being the best at the possible option? Exactly. So that's Mookie Betts. And so anyway, my dilemma was, what do I wear to a baseball game? I don't want to be the guy who's going to a baseball game where his team's not playing, but he still wears all the gear. But I still wanted to represent my Red Sox. So I wore a Red Sox cap. All right? So you got my cousin in his Dodger gear. My cousin Elena, she's in a Padre T-shirt that was a giveaway somewhere. That's all. Everybody who has a Padre anything got it. Maybe not all of you, 30 to 40% of you got it as a giveaway. And she's got her Padre giveaway T-shirt on, and we're walking by this guy, and my cousin says what's up to him. I'm third in line. We're walking past this guy, and he's got a Yankee cap on, and I saw him. And my cousin's like, what's up, man? As we walk past him, because we're walking out and they're walking in. And he's like, hey, buddy, says that to him. And then this is the highlight of the week. All right. When he gets to me, I already spotted him in his Yankee cap. I got on my Red Sox cap. I don't say hello. I kind of bump him just gentle enough to be noticed. Not hard enough to start a fight, but just gentle enough to be noticed. And it was close quarters, so the bump wasn't too on purpose, but I didn't move out of the way. There it is. It wasn't on purpose, but I did move out of the way. He sees my Yankee cap, my Red Sox cap. That's a shame. I would never do that. He sees my Red Sox cap and goes, "You." Just like that. He goes, "You." And then that's when my bump happened. Then he bumped me back, and I bumped him back, and we had a little play fight for like 4 or 5 seconds. Long enough for the people he was with to wonder what was going on, and my cousins to wonder what was going on. And that was fun for me. It was so good that I was ready for it to turn real. In about the 4th or 5th second, we started laughing and hugged it out and gave each other a hug. We didn't hug it out because there was nothing really to hug out, but we gave each other a hug and because it was some East Coast feel. We don't like each other, but there was still some like what we just experienced, you can't experience with everyday people unless you're from the East Coast. You know, you can't just push a stranger unless you're from the East Coast. And that was my highlight of the week. I had so much, like, that sat with me all week. And this is the important thing this is what's important about the highlight of the week. It keeps you going. It carries you in those tough moments where you're just like, you're kind of grinding through, and you're like, it gives you something to think about so you can produce your own serotonin. Your dopamine-free serotonin, right? That's a great thing, right? That might be the name of this episode, dopamine-free serotonin, because that's what we're looking for. It's just that smile to push us through the day. And this is when it hit, like later that week, I was driving in La Jolla, and there was a guy panhandling in the middle of the road. And I didn't got anything. I don't have any cash. And I usually have an unopened liter of water because I try and drink 2 liters of water every day. And if I come across a panhandler, I will take one of the liters and hand it to them because I know they're thirsty. And, water is very important. And so I didn't have anything. I was just there. My window was down. My music was up. And he's walking towards my car. And I'm like, crap. I don't have anything to give the guy. So I just I give him an acknowledging look. Like just, hey, I see you. Because one thing I don't like doing is ignoring people, making them feel anything less than dignified. Is that a good way to put it? But I gave him that acknowledging look. I didn't have anything to give him. And he just looks at me and goes, "You a selfish son of a bitch, ain't you?" It just kept walking. And right before anything, I could respond. I could process the thought. My brain goes, "Remember that guy at the Padre game? Remember that Yankee fan?" And I just stayed in a good mood. Like that guy didn't take me out of my mood into his mood. Because regardless of what he was doing, he was not a happy person to just call a stranger a selfish son of a bitch. All right. So, and that's the importance. That's why the highlight of the week is important. And I urge everybody. Start low. Don't, it's like nothing good happened to me this week. Yes, it did, bro. Yes, it did. You just got to find it. And you got to accept it. And I'm telling you, those moments of the week, I got my moments of the week are competing now. Did I have it? Nah, because I don't have any honorable mentions, do I? Well, yeah, the honorable mention was the Padre game. My cousin coming to town, hit me up, seeing family. That, that's the honorable mention. So that. All right, let's get to the read. Voices for UA. Voices for UA. There are Ukrainian families in this country right now who work here, pay taxes here, and are building lives here. For them, America is not just some idea anymore. It is home. But their immigration status is still temporary. That means their future is uncertain. I always stop at that word uncertain because I think that's the word we can all hear and say, oh, nobody should have that. Nobody should have uncertainty in their life. It sucks. And the best thing I can do to just like give you a full understanding of the word uncertainty, check engine light. If immigrants in this country who are legal in this country, still have that check engine light on because the process is so garbage. The process is so difficult. They're still uncertain. Like just when you get in your car, you hear that bing, and the check engine light come on. You don't know. All you know is that light is on. You don't know why, and you're scared, and you're stressed. That's the immigration process. All right, check engine light. So I'm gonna get back to the read now. But their immigration status is still temporary, and that means their future is still uncertain. What this group, Voices for UA, is trying to do is create a real path to change through Congress. Not magic, not wishes, actual advocacy work. Their goal is to raise $100,000 over the next few months to support that effort. There are no guarantees, but they are trying hard, and they are fighting for a future, and that's what matters. So if you want to help, you can do a couple things. You can support them on their GoFundMe page to help them raise that $100,000. Their GoFundMe page is gofund.me/wipe, WIPE, .hawk, like bird, HAWK, .room. GoFund.me/wipe, .hawk, .room. And the second thing you can do is follow them and listen to them and share them on Instagram. They're also on TikTok at Voices for UA. That's it. Voices for UA. Do I have a typo? It's Voices for UA. All right. So please check them out. Give them your support. It's much earned. And like, you're not just supporting Ukrainian. I know this is a Ukrainian effort, but the laws that they follow, that they are able to push through Congress, the path, it will be open for all. So you're supporting all. So please check them out, follow them. All right. Like I said, this week, the Adamant Podcast is a financial podcast. Like Jim Cramer, you guys should buy, you guys should sell. Not really. Not like that. I want financial awareness in this country. I think it's about time that people started to understand their place in society. Let's go back. And what I mean by this is, remember when government was just about to shut down and the warning was food stamps are going to be cut off? And a lot of people went, yeah, so. And then food stamps got cut off and a lot of people got hungry. Remember that? Sip my tea. That was because a lot of people didn't understand. They weren't financially aware of themselves, or they weren't financially aware of environment. And so what made me think about this, so this is not about financial literacy. That's a whole nother thing. I'm still learning to be financially literate and am not really of the, I don't have what it takes to talk about financial literacy yet. Don't gamble. Gambling's bad, all right? That's a good piece of financial literacy right there. All right. But I was listening to the Jeff Bezos interview as he was talking to somebody from his one of his warehouses, and he was talking about how he doesn't need to be taxed. He goes, I can get taxed double. And that still wouldn't help out the teacher in Queens. You got to be kidding me that he said that. Like, I don't understand. Jeff Bezos, I'm an eat the rich type person. I'm working class, and I believe eat the rich. That interview had my mouth watering. Jeff Bezos was looking so tasty because it was so out of touch. It was like as though he 100% believed the bootstrap theory, Like, because he said the country doesn't have a management problem, it has a spending problem. I'm like, dude, you have the thing we waste the most money on. Like, I'm not going to lie. Whenever I order something from Amazon, I get that option to save the environment by waiting a day longer. I don't. It's, But when I was a kid, I remember we never ordered anything. We were poor, man. But I would see the commercial, allow 5 to 6 weeks for delivery. I couldn't imagine giving somebody money right now and them saying, all right, it'll be there in 5, 6 weeks. It would have to be the most custom of custom jobs that I've ever ordered for me to wait 5 to 6 weeks for it. You know, I don't pre-order anything because that's stupid. Make it and then have it so I can buy it from you and hold it in that sequence. But so Jeff Bezos, it was like, that's a billionaire who has clearly lost touch, because if you have you guys seen what they say we could do if we started, if the rich, the billionaires would pay their taxes? And so to me, financial awareness means understanding the difference between the rich and the working class. I want to say rich and the poor because I really believe that's where we are. But my reading has told me otherwise. Poor is defined as beneath the poverty line, okay? And a lot of poor people aren't below the poverty line. I define poor in a good way, in a healthy way. I define poor as someone who isn't rich, all right? Like, what's his name? Ken Ritchie. He's a billionaire, and his name is Ritchie. I don't understand how some people got to live out their names. He spells his name as Ken. He spells his name with 2 N's, but his last name is Ritchie. So Richie Rich says that the rich, you are not rich unless you can afford 20. I wrote it down. Let me see. I tried to say it, but I didn't. Where is it? Yeah, there it is. If you are rich, that means you have the ability to cover the next 25 years of your lifestyle. Do you have that ability to cover the next 25 years? Can you afford your lifestyle for 25 years? And that doesn't mean income. That doesn't mean that you're a banker. See, this is where I don't believe in the middle class at all, because I do not believe that a banker, I guess, let's just say a banker, a lawyer. Is it true that AI is going to wipe out lawyers? That's crazy work. Like, I'm maybe another podcast, but still. But you're a lawyer. You got a 6-figure income, all right? What happens if that income goes away? Do you need to replace it in a week? Do you need to replace it in 6 months? Or you're not rich unless you can wait 25 years to replace it. That's what Ken Ritchie is saying. And I believe that if you are not rich at that level, like that gentleman says, you are poor. And that, to me, that eliminates the middle class. The middle class, and this has been said by others, and I'm going to say it, the middle class are poor, and I wrote it down. So the middle class are simply working class folks who have more access than other working class folks, but have been tricked by the rich to protect them. We all know that there's a certain sect of people out there voting against their own interest. Do you guys understand if we had, I'm going to take a sip after I take this so y'all can hold this thought for a minute. We could have no student loans right now and possibly be approaching free health care had we elected Bernie Sanders. But we didn't do that. We didn't. We voted against our own interests because we thought we might one day be rich. That's the only way I can say it. The rich have a way of tricking us. And I'm saying I didn't vote against my own interests personally, but as a collective, when it comes down to it, if God doesn't like the way this country's running, he's not sparing people just because they went to the No Kings rally, okay? God is taking us all out because this is a collective thing. So that's why I say we. And we have to stop. The rich have a way of getting us to believe, if they come for me, they'll come for you. So we don't want the rich taxed. I guess, right? We don't want the rich taxed because we don't want us taxed. How about we get an understanding that the more we tax the rich, the less we can tax us? ourselves, because Jeff Bezos says, he's like, I don't think somebody who should be paying $75,000, who's making $75,000 a year. It's so gross that he knew the number to say. And that number used to be a lot. That number, $75,000 a year, used to be a lot. Right? Like, you go back to early 2000s, and that's a big number. You go back to, oh my God, don't even take that number to the 90s. You will own people. But still, he says nobody's making $75,000 should have to pay taxes. But they're paying taxes because billionaires do not pay their share. And I'm going to talk about a new billionaire who's on the scene, a black billionaire, Byron Allen. He just came into the news. He just bought BuzzFeed and Huffington Post. And I got my eye on him, not to put him on the menu. He is not on the menu, okay? There are some billionaires who are on the menu. There are some billionaires who are not on the menu yet, all right? I don't know any billionaires where I could be like, nah, that guy's good. That guy's cool. No, I don't. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying Byron Allen has not made the menu. And it's not because he's black, but I listened to him recently talk about his purchases. And he's in the news not because of that purchase of BuzzFeed and Huffington Post. He's in the news because his show is taking the slot of Stephen Colbert's Late Night with Stephen Colbert. All right. I have a question about that, about Stephen Colbert not having a show anymore. My favorite Ben and Yetis, as I like to say, is American Dream Cone. That's not going to take that away. Is it him not having a show anymore? Because I would hate that so much if that flavor of Ben and Jerry's went away. So I just want to put that out there. Please don't that's my favorite thing. And I can't have it until July 12th or 13th because I'm in a weight cut right now for a fight that I got in July. Details are coming. The better I get into the weight cut, the more details. But right now, that's the only details you're getting. I haven't had ice cream. Or pizza in about 3 weeks. And it's not bad, but ooh. But a billionaire. Ooh. I only got to walk away from eating a billion. Okay, that was just that was to get me back on track. So Byron Allen, but I was listening to an interview Byron Allen did, and he talked about the importance of ownership is from the perspective of being black. He said the words that this country was built on the slaves of black people who don't own much, who don't own anything, if anything at all. To hear a billionaire acknowledge that was like, whoa. Like I don't know if that has ever been said by a white billionaire, black billionaire, green billionaire. I don't know. All right. But when I heard it, I was like, whoa, this guy. All right, let's see what he does. Because I'm a capitalist-minded person. I believe in capitalism. I believe in regulations, but like a socialist capitalist, I guess. I don't know. I got to look into it to see where exactly along the line I find. Maybe in the next episode, I'll know. But right now, I just know I prefer capitalism over socialism and over communism. I don't see socialism. I see socialism kind of forcing charity, and communism and this is just me. I'm not saying I say stuff that you should probably research. I'm not saying anything that I know to be for fact most of the time. All right? I'm going to be upfront with you about that. So when I say communism, it seems like a religion getting all the money. It seems like a communist society is a Vatican, is like this place where the people aren't rich, but the leaders are. And that's kind of where we are right now. Socialism, I'm not against, but if we could, capitalism with guardrails, is that a thing? Why not? So anyway, I'm interested in seeing what Byron Allen does with his new purchases, with his new show. What is it? Comedians Unleashed. That was a channel I always skipped. It's been going for years, but now to see that it's going to be on network TV, I might give it a watch. Comedy has gotten out of hand. I don't like it anymore. Anybody else? I'm not going to go into that. That's another episode, but still, those are thoughts I'm having. But now, so let's get back to it. So this is where I find financial awareness very important because it affects how we vote. Imagine a world where people weren't stressed about money, people weren't racist. Imagine a politician who had to get the vote from people who weren't stressed about money or who weren't racist. That's my point. And I think a financial awareness podcast, a financial awareness segment of this podcast, financial awareness makes us more, it pushes us further in that direction. There is no middle class. We're all in the same gang. Y'all remember that song? I do. It was a dope song. That was the West Coast Answers to Self-Destruction in like 91, maybe 89, somewhere between 89 and 91. So we're all in the same gang. We're all living check to check at best. At best. And can we stop protecting the rich? Can we stop allowing them to get richer, allowing them to deceive us? That would be a huge thing, right? What is my point? I'm trying to think. Because I don't want my point to just be how we vote. But I really do think we all need to change how we vote. We need to get back to getting our country, restoring order to our country. And honestly, I think financial awareness helps because we're forever associating being happy with being rich. People who play the lottery. I used to play the lottery. This is the last time I bought a lottery ticket. I didn't play it all the time. Like it was like 2 million, 20 million, 70 million. I'm not playing. That sucker's money. Right? But if I saw, and I don't even notice it. It never even registered. But if I saw like the Powerball was at 421 million, a billion. No, I think my go-in was like plus 500 million. And then I saw that, I'd be like, oh, I'm only noticing that because it's my turn to win. And I'd buy a ticket. I wouldn't go buy a ticket, but like I buy 2 liters of water from a 7-Eleven every day, about 6 days a week. And if I look over his shoulder and I see those, that light up, it's like 3 digits plus, I'm like, oh yeah, give me a quick pick too, right? And I think I'm gonna win. This is why I don't play anymore. I think I'm gonna win. I start having the fantasies about what I'm gonna do if I win, and how everybody's gonna get to eat if I win. Blah blah, all that stuff. But then the next day comes, and I'm slow to check my ticket because I want to stay in that world where I won. I know if I check my ticket, I lost, and that's a dopamine crash, and I'm gonna cry a little bit, and I have to readjust my dumb ass to society. But if I don't check my ticket, I'm a winner. It's what do they call it? It's like Schrodinger's cat. That cat in the box that might be dead if you check it. It's that situation. So after the last one, which actually might have been at the end of last year, I forget. It was when the lottery was plus $1 billion. I caught it and made me. I was like, "You're done playing lottery, kid." But what I realized then wasn't. So I looked at all the fantasies I had, and it wasn't whether or not I was going to be rich and have all this money. It was whether or not I would be able to do these things that I believe money allows. Go on vacations, not worry. Not worry would be the most. Pay off my debts would be the most. I need $1 billion to pay off my debts. I don't, but I need $1 billion to relax. Or past tense, I needed $1 billion to relax. You see where I'm saying? You see where we're going here with that now? Like that's where my head was. And I didn't. I just needed access to things that the middle class, like I said, that the so-called middle class has. They have access to things like healthcare, savings, vacations, rest. The working class does not have access to those things all the time, especially in this country. Healthcare, that's a rare, man. Like, how many people see a UPS truck and shun their guidance counselor for not steering them in that direction? Every time I see a UPS truck, I curse my guidance counselor. I'm like, oh, if I had only freaking known. If I had only known. But still, those are working class dudes who have a good setup, you know? And that's what we're trying to increase, is the amount of working class people with good setups. And then we get a good setup, and then we set up a place for people who are poor. Poor, definitively, the definition of poor is like six times below the poverty level. You can't be one time below the poverty level. Let me see what I wrote, because that sounds a little bit alarmist. Excuse me. See, because I had the question. Pre-tax income is below. Okay, not 6 times. I don't know. I think I was missing facts. Is 6 times. No, it's just below the federal poverty threshold for your household size and competition. Okay, it doesn't count capital gains or anything like that, and it's good because I don't know what those are. But it's like poverty level, and poverty level is horrible. It's hard. There are people who aren't homeless but still live in poverty. If you're homeless, homeless people are living in poverty. I cleared it up. When I say if you're homeless, I'm like, come on, do you think you have any homeless listeners? I don't know, maybe. But anyway, that's the way we build, is by being real. What's the first step of any problem? Acceptance. Accept we're working class, all of us. Accept the fact that we're closer to poor than we are being rich. Like, there are people who are born working class, and you're very likely gonna die working class. I'm trying to figure out if there was a different way to say that and not sound so extreme, but a lot of us act like we aren't, and we're not. We're in the same thing together. So I'm starting to repeat myself, so I'm just gonna move along to the next thing I want to talk about. And honestly, this is kind of in the same direction. Parking lot petitions. When you go to a parking lot and you see a big sign hanging from somebody's folding table outside the grocery store, and it says, I saw one that says, "Stop Gavin Newsom." Gavin Newsom, this is his last year of governing the state of California. We pick a new governor this election season. But that sign still says, and it's what month is it? May. "Stop Gavin Newsom," because that sign knows that people are emotional and they're hungry because they're going to the grocery store. All right? So they're going to say, "How do I stop Gavin Newsom?" It's like, "Oh, you got to sign this petition right here. We're going to get rid of him." And what's really on these petitions aren't being discussed. So this week, I want to tell you guys, stop signing political petitions in parking lots. Don't sign anything in grocery store parking lots. This is where they hold up. They're also at bus hubs or transit hubs, or what are those things called? Like where several stations meet and several trains meet. Trolley stations, they're there too. All right? Don't sign these things ever at all. And this is personal for me because I live in California. When people shit on California, I am not going to lie. I just call them haters. Unless they mention 2 things. One, the amount of dogs in restaurants. If they're talking about that, it's like California's a shithole. They have too many dogs in their restaurants. Exactly. I agree. All right. The second thing, California's a shithole. They got to pay for paper bags at grocery stores. I am 100. Let me tell you how we got here. In 2016, the on the ballot was eliminating disposable plastic bags from grocery stores. So the little plastic bags that everybody took home and then turned them into little waste paper bags, liners, those were gone away. They came up with this thick, reusable plastic bag that you had to buy for 10 cents. All right? So California, and this was the same year California voted to use paper straws. And those are gone. Those are gone. Like paper straws came back, and only like 3 places have them, and those places, all their customers are dicks. All right, like, I don't know how else to say it. So we're paying 10 cents a bag. So if you go to the grocery store, you're probably paying an extra 50 cents because your groceries got to go in all these bags, and you're getting 10 cents a bag, and that adds up. And I honestly believe that there's a for-profit that lobbied for that, and blah, 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 blah. But now, as of this year, January 1st this year, those plastic bags, and I don't remember voting for this being on the ballot at all, became illegal. And now it's just paper bags, right? So you think, okay, it's paper bags, the 10-cent charge is going away. No, it's still there. Matter of fact, some places aren't, I think Sprouts, that's Stumps. Sprouts has like, at one point they didn't have paper bags. They would give you this cloth bag and charge you 50 cents for it. It's gotten out of hand. And I honestly believe, without knowledge, remember, a lot of the stuff I say, I don't know. It's for you to hear and then look up yourself. Am I advocating? Yeah, I'm kind of just advocating. But I think it had to have been snuck in via parking lot petitions. Like somebody's like, I walked up to a folding table, and they're always like a poker table, and it's somebody, honestly, it's like somebody on parole or disability, because they're getting paid per signature. That's not the most ethical thing, but I believe that there was a situation in California where people were getting paid $5 a signature. And I still think that if you go back with if somebody sends you out and you come back with no signatures, your pay is affected. In Michigan, there was a whole bunch of misleading, again, watch what you sign, because there was a misleading drive where these petitions were gathering names, and it turned out to be the opposite, but they made it look nice. I think it was student-led. I cannot remember what it was about. What I write? Nope, I just said made it look nice. I love my notes to my future self. Like, I always think I'll know what I'm talking about, but I don't. But in Utah, I was clear on this one. On Utah, they had an anti-gerrymandering repeal petition out. Okay? So, but it was actually pro-gerrymandering. Do you see what I mean? Like, gerrymandering, we understand, is reshaping the district to be able to get better votes. That's what it is. And then anti-gerrymandering says, no, you can't do that anymore because it's always based on race and this, that, and the other, and black people can't vote anymore. So, hey, this is an interesting question I'm going to ask you right now. How are you voting this year? Are you going to vote for your own interest, or are you possibly going to vote in the interest of those who aren't represented? That's a good question, right? Because we are there where it's not really about our own interests that we're voting for. We have to now start taking in consideration those who aren't being represented by the law. Like, think about it like this. Remember when women couldn't vote? All right. There was a husband who had to vote for a guy who he didn't like because, this is hypothetical, but possible. This is a likely scenario. This is a likely scenario. There was a guy who had to vote for a guy he didn't like because that guy, if he got into office, would allow women to vote. That one gentleman was not voting in his own interest. He was voting for those who were not represented. Remember slavery? Oh, my God, that was such a horrible thing. So glad that that's over, 13th Amendment. Remember? There were people who could vote that had to vote for a guy who was going to end slavery. And they did not vote in their own interest, but they voted in the interest of those who could not vote for themselves. This is that. We're in that time now where we need to start voting in the interest of those who are not represented. Thinking about Tennessee, Kentucky, Georgia, the South. California's not that much better, but still. We have, I think we need to start voting. We need to start concerning ourselves with the votes of others. And I blame everything that we're at right now. I blame it on a lot of things. Like, honestly, I blame where we're at on millennials. I blame where we're at on Hillary Clinton. I blame where we're at on the obvious. But I blame it, though, like, if I could blame it the most, it's on our ignorance of the law, our ignorance of what's going on. Like, that Supreme Court ruling that struck down the Civil Rights Act, that came out of nowhere, but it didn't. It was there. It was in plain sight, but we were so distracted by so many things that when it came out, when it happened, we were just like, we had the wind knocked out of us. And the what takes the most advantage of this political ignorance is parking lot petitions. It's they lie to you. It's basically a Trojan horse. This is how it works as a Trojan horse. It operates on speed, ignorance, and a kind of trust. Because when you see that thing that says "Stop Gavin Newsom," that person thinks like me. And the speed comes in, you're still got to go in there and grocery shop. You're still trying to get back home, or you're still trying to get home. This is just an errand run that you're not trying to let eat up your entire day or night or whatever. Just start walking by him. Acknowledge him with dignity. Just say, hey, how you doing? No, I can't. Hey, can I talk to you? No, you can't. Because that stops the erosion of our political system, is this stuff. Well, where are they going to advocate? I can offer reform. Get back to doing door to door. I sold long distance packages door to door. I think it was 2000, the year 2000. I was selling AT&T long distance phone service door to door. Go knock on people's doors. People still do it today to talk about other stuff. Knock on people's doors. I think I got Verizon. I have Verizon Internet. Verizon Wireless Internet, and I think I might have gotten that because somebody knocked on my door, okay? Knock door to door, hey, can I talk to you about, and then you tell the truth because you're at somebody's house and you want them to let you in. Or just hold a rally. These No Kings rallies, people got free Saturdays. If the No Kings rally has proven anything, it's that people got nothing to do on Saturdays. Or people are free or more likely to go to a park on Saturdays. But you got to talk to them. And instead of just walking away after they do their selfies on Instagram or whatever, you get them to sign what you just talked to them about. Give them a speech. Tell them what you want. That's another way to do it. We didn't have class. I'm in school at San Diego City. I don't know if I talked about that before. I was a mechanical engineer major, but I got anxious, had some anxiety, felt bored, switched to English. And I'm not going to lie. This summer, I'm going back to mechanical engineering because English, I'm getting all A's this summer. I'm getting all A's this semester, spring semester. But they're not A's I'm proud of. They're very subjective A's, and I miss the objectivity of math. And when I got an English literature class, I got a creative writing class, and I got a black studies class. Such subjective curriculums that everybody gets to be right. I'm not that guy. I don't like being right if that person's right too. I'll be wrong if you're going to call that right. I will gladly be wrong. But still, I'm not going to go into that. Maybe that'll be another podcast. What was I saying? Oh, but they sent us to listen to this they sent us to a political rally, and I'm still not sure how I feel about that. I know a lot of political change has been motivated by college campuses. And that's probably why they are so under attack right now by politics, because they have been a juggernaut for change. They have been advocates for change. You know, they have the time and awareness to act, right? But I still think, like, I don't know enough to tell you. I'm not voting for the dude. Like, I listened to him, and he was wearing a purple suit. I don't get that. I do not get that. My grandma wears purple, and she's an awesome person. She's 96 years old, and purple, it's fitting for her. She kind of reached she's my grandma, so that's kind of royalty. But if you're in your 40s and you're wearing a purple suit for any reason, walk. But that wasn't also, he did a couple other things, but I'm not, like I said, I don't want to say his name because I just don't know, and I don't want to be irresponsible. Oh, how about that? Remember a bunch of podcasts saying somebody's name, and now they're like, oh, man, I probably shouldn't have said that name. Well, I don't want to be that podcast. But what I'm getting to is we need to restore order in this country, and I think that getting back control of our government again is one step to take in that direction, is just to stop it with the parking lot petitions. All right. A side note, you know, the kids who are always in a parking lot saying, hey, you want to buy some candy for my football team? But you're like, this kid ain't on no football team or basketball team or baseball team or whatever. You know those kids, right? Buy their candy. All right. I'm not telling you to ignore those kids. Ignore the people who want you to sign a petition, but buy their candy. Yes, I know it's a scam. I know the kids are just like, you know, it's like, hey, buy this candy, but there's for my team, but there's no team. And you know that. So really, you get the candy, you pay the money for the candy, and then you also know that it's a scam. So doesn't that all cancel out the scam? They're not asking for your Social Security card. They're not asking for your mother's maiden name. They just want $1 or $2 for a box of Milk Duds. Do it. Support those kids. Help them. All right. That's the side note. I don't want you guys walking by everybody in front of a grocery store. Just the people asking you to sign a petition. All right. Oh, I almost forgot this week's we got the gym of the week. I spent so much time. I was looking at the clock and I was like, oh man, I'm making good time. We just got to get to the skip list album of the week. It's like, no, I still got to do the gym of the week. Oh, okay. So I'm not going to fly through the gym of the week, but it's short. It's a little bitty sermon. Remember sermons when like during the football season, how they're so short because even the preachers wants to get and watch the game? That's the gym of the week. Little bitty sermons. And this week's gym of the week is gratitude. If you're listening to this on Apple, it said GYM, and Apple Podcast. Listen, it's GEM, gym of the week. I was listening to it because I got to listen to what I say, see if I want to take anything back, see if I want to stand by something, see if I want to clarify something, you know? And then it got to the gym of the week. It was like GYM of the week. I'm like, what? No, it's 24-hour fitness in La Jolla. No, it's not. I don't know if La Jolla has a 24-hour fitness, but anyway, that's what I meant. So this week's gym of the week is gratitude. Being thankful for what you have. This is important to me, and honestly, what was last week? Last week was hope and the importance of hope. The last episode, it was importance of hope. This one is the importance of gratitude, being thankful for what you have. And I've lost a lot in my life. Not bragging, but that loss, one way I was able to turn off the faucet of losing stuff, I became grateful. Matthew 13:12, and I'm going to go to the Bible on this one and stay away from the Stoics on this one because this one really hits me very hard. Jesus in Matthew 13, chapter 13, verse 12, he says, to those who have, more will be given. To those who have nothing, even that will be taken away. That used to terrify me because I was like, what if I don't have? Just because I don't have, I'm going to lose? But what Jesus was saying, you decide what you have. You decide if you have a lot, if you have nothing. No one can have nothing. It's absolutely impossible to have nothing. And I remember in my most lost I was always trying to get more. And that was my biggest flaw, not acknowledging what I had, and I would lose it. And the way we acknowledge what we have is by saying thank you, you know? And I do this. I had this ready. Let me see. If you're on YouTube, if you watch this on YouTube, I'm about to show you a big stack of index cards. I don't know when I started this. Some years ago, I just started writing down. I call it gratitude meditation. I'm going to sit this right here. And every morning I wake up, I take an index card, and I just write on the front side everything I'm thankful for. And most of the time, every day, it's the same stuff over and over every day. But I just start my day being thankful. And that's really does a lot for my day. Some days I don't wake up with enough time to do it. I might stay in bed a little longer than I should. And I do get nervous. And I have to remind myself, dude, it's not voodoo. Just take later time. But, be grateful. Not because I don't want to lose anything, but because I want to enjoy what I have. Working class. Instead of trying to get rich so you can have the life you think you want, acknowledge the life you have and be thankful for it. Those little bitty things that you have will grow when you water them with gratitude. That's all I'm saying. That's the importance of gratitude, okay? I was making a lot of bad decisions because I was ungrateful and I wanted more, or I wanted something else, or I wanted what I already have, but it wasn't as shiny. The grass wasn't as green, however you want to look at it. So this week, the gem of the week is being grateful, gratitude. Find that one thing in your life that you have that you can say thank you for, and do it. And focus on that. That leads you to having a weekly highlight, a daily highlight. That leads you to just having good days. Leads you to not calling somebody a selfish son of a bitch while you're panhandling. I'm sorry, but that was just funny to me. That just was like, I mean, I'm not laughing at the dude. I'm pretty sure times are rough. I know, I am less than a week of a paycheck from ending up panhandling. So I'm not even trying to judge. But I got you a selfish son of a bitch, ain't you? I'm like, jeez, bro. All right, now let's get to the skipless album of the week, and then we are outie. I still make a good time. All right, I like this. All right, last week it was Van Halen's 1984. Did you guys have fun listening to this album? I did. I had so much fun. It was just Panama, Hot for Teacher, Jump. All right. Hot for Teacher had me cracking up with the ad libs. When I'm sitting in the car and I just hear him go, "I don't feel tardy," I busted out laughing because that was absolutely funny. The song Jump, I found out a couple things. First, I found out that this was the last album Van Halen made with David Lee Roth. My entire life, I thought this was their rookie year. I thought that this was their first album because it was the first time I'd ever heard of them. But it wasn't. It was their third. They started in the 70s. This was 83, and it came out in 84. So it's called 1984. But still, I was just like, what? All right. The song Jump was inspired because David Lee Roth, there was a jumper he saw on the news, and the crowd was yelling, "Go ahead and jump. Go ahead and jump." So he wrote it. He took that. That's dark. The world we live in has always been an ugly place. But so he took the lyrics. He took the "Go ahead and jump" and just wrote a good song about it. And I think that's kind of cool. So that was the inspiration of that. Let's see, this last album with David Lee Roth. But I also like this album. I've always liked this album because there's a rock and roll 80s trifecta with this album. This is the first of it. I like to listen to 1984 by Van Halen, Theater of Pain by Motley Crue, and then Guns N' Roses, Appetite for Destruction. Those three albums, to me, are the perfect road out of the 80s into 90s hip-hop. Seriously. I love so this is a big album for me. Now, this week's album, Skipless album, the album I want you to listen to without hitting that skip button even a little bit. You won't want to. You won't want to. This album, fun fact, this album kept 1984 out of the number one slot. It peaked on the billboards at number 2. It couldn't get number 1 because this album had it. Thriller by Michael Jackson. All right? He's tearing up the movie, the Michael Jackson movie, biopic or whatever, is tearing up the movie theaters. I'm not going to see it because I lived it, don't need to see it. But we can all listen to this album. Thriller by Michael Jackson. I'm just like, is this one? No, Liberian Girl. Is that on this one? No, that was on Bad. But Pretty Young Thing, Beat It, Billie Jean, Thriller, Human Nature. How many, if I remember correctly, there are 9. I got this album for, I think I was 10. I got it for Christmas. I got that and a Walkman for Christmas. Still one of the top Christmases of my life. Like, there was only a few, but still. There were only a few good ones, but still. I remember I got this when I turned 10, and in 89, 90, I got a pair of Jordans. And that was, that wasn't it, but, childhood, it wasn't fun. Thanks, Dad. But still, this album goes down as it's still like one of the biggest bangers. So please listen to this album. Put it in. We just don't have that ability anymore. We just play music whenever. There's like constant, wherever we go, there's background music. Let's be intentional with the music we listen to. And this week we are going to be intentional with Michael Jackson's Thriller. All right, folks, you guys are awesome. This podcast is over. This episode of the podcast is over. I'm going to check in with you guys on Wednesday. That much I know for sure. That's going to be the midweek makeup where I can just come in and be less structured, just as vocal, probably a bit weirder. I want you to check out Between the Bells, the podcast I told you about earlier. It's a great podcast. They got a professional boxer on there. I forget his name. I'm blanking right now. He called me because I got to set up the studio for 3 people instead of 2. If you guys want to email me anything, your highlight of the week, maybe you have something to say about something I said, email me at thepeacefuljedi@gmail.com. Follow me on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok, The Peaceful Jedi. And after all that, stay up, do good, and have fun. All right?
Yeah, I think the words, but sometimes they don't come out of my mouth no good.